I really think they're going to have their way with the Timberwolves.
I disagree, and I think
they haven't even been tested, though. We don't know how good they are.
They haven't been tested. Who, the Timberwolves?
The Lakers no-showed, and they lost Steph in Game 2. So they haven't been tested this postseason at all.
The Timberwolves have been here before. They went to the Western Conference Finals last year.
Didn't they get swept in the Western Conference
Finals?
It doesn't matter. Last time?
It doesn't matter.
They no-showed.
First of all, I don't think they got swept. They won 4 games to 1. And the Timberwolves didn't show up, but Anthony Edwards has been here before. He knows that he has been here before, and he wasn't the player that he was throughout the season before he got there last year against Dallas. And Dallas, to me, they were riding high. They obviously, Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, they were a completely different team. I think OKC already knows who they are. OKC knows they're the best team, and they were the best team really all season long. Besides the Cavaliers, they were by far the best team in the NBA and the most consistent team in the NBA. But this is an OKC Thunder team that's never been here before with the youth that they have over there. And Shai Alexander, go look at what he's done in the Olympics. Has he ever played one big game before in his career? He never was. He's never been in those big games. He's never succeeded against those big opportunities. So obviously we're going to see now if he can get over the hump and get his team to the finals. But I don't know if you look at a young team and you're going to trust a coach that's really never been there either. So, I mean, there's an understanding and a factual solution to what is going to go on in this series. You got still a very young team in the Timberwolves. They're young. They have some young players. Julius Randle is getting up there. He's 30, 31 years old. Dante DiVincenzo's 28. I mean, everybody else, even you look at the talent that they have over there. You're saying, and I don't know if you're saying it this way, but you're making it seem like the Timberwolves don't have enough talent. Mike Conley is a great player. He's a good point guard.
He's done. He's completely done.
He's still a good leader.
He plays 20 minutes a game.
20 minutes a game. Why are the Timberwolves a 6 seed and they're in the Western Conference Finals? You think they're not good enough to be here? It's ridiculous. Rudy Gobert. You don't think Rudy Gobert is a good center? This guy has won Defensive Player of the Year multiple times.
It just depends about him. It depends about Gobert. We've seen Gobert get absolutely cooked in the playoffs by teams that pull him out away from the basket. Is one of my favorite clips that I cut for this show is Luka dicing him up, doing a step back 3, and then MFing him to his face afterwards, which basically ended the series ahead of time. And you were right, it was 4-1, but it wasn't a close series whatsoever.
But Anthony Edwards didn't show up in that series, and he opened his mouth before the series about Kyrie Irving. It pissed Kyrie Irving off. If Anthony Edwards is smart, he stays away from opening his mouth and really just plays the game. If Anthony Edwards does that, he can absolutely compete against Shai Alexander. You can argue these are the 2 best young players right now in the NBA. And Anthony Edwards, to me, even though he doesn't want to take responsibility and take assurance that he is the face of United States basketball right now, he absolutely is. And he has a chance to prove himself against one of the best offensive talents we've seen in a very long time. But to say that OKC is that much better than the Timberwolves, that's ridiculous. OKC's never been here before. They're a young roster that, again, is going to have many chances to get here. But we thought that years and years ago with Kevin Durant, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and Serge Ibaka. If we remember, 3 out of the 4 players that were part of that roster are Hall of Famers. Arguably, 3 of the best players of this era. So, and they were on the same roster and never won a championship. Just think about that. They don't have the talent that, and as good as OKC is with Jalen Williams and then obviously Shai Alexander and the players that they have over there, which they have good young Dorton, like you were saying, there are good players there. They're nowhere close to as good as that OKC Thunder team was when they went to the finals.
I mean, it's a different era. It's hard to compare those teams because they were set up differently. Ibaka was this power forward. Today he would be a center. It's a little bit different how they'd play that series. And obviously, those are, you're not wrong, Hall of Fame players. I just like how they comprise this team. We didn't even mention my buddy, and our buddy, friend of New York Knicks, Isaiah Hardenstein, who absolutely is the glue guy. And we all knew he would be for that team. He just, as he did for the Knicks, just runs to the rim with the best of them, back cuts with the best of them, and then plays face-up defense without fouling with the best of them. Is he a little undersized against some centers? Yes, he is. Is he the strongest guy? No, but he's strong enough against most guys. He's a really, really good player.
Fish, you want to hear something crazy? You want to hear something crazy? If the Knicks beat the Pacers, they would, and it doesn't matter who the Knicks play in the finals, either OKC or the Timberwolves, they're going to play at least one player or two players from the roster that they had last year. Just think about that. If they play the Timberwolves, they'll have to play Dante DiVincenzo and Julius Randle, the bricklayer. If they play OKC, they got to play Isaiah Hartenstein. So it's crazy that at least one or two important players to those New York Knicks teams from last year are going to play at least the finals this year on another roster. It's crazy. And the Knicks are a completely different team than they were last year with Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns and some of the players that they added in the offseason. So it is interesting. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but we haven't even spoke about the Knicks. We have not even spoken about them.
But I was going to get a segue, and as you guys are talking about Ant and Shai and those guys, just think about all the 4 superstars that are left. None of them have ever won. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be a first-time winner. So when you guys are bringing that up, I was reading earlier, and I was like, second straight year that's happened.
It's crazy.
And it's going to be who's the most ready, right, of these guys. And I would argue the 2 guys in the East are more ready than the 2 guys in the West.
I disagree.
I'm really interested. I disagree. I don't think Anthony Edwards is ready at all.
I disagree with you. Why do you hate on Anthony Edwards? This guy is special. He's special. He's special.
Is he a leader, though? Can he be the best guy on your team?
Oh, come on. Fish, there are a lot of guys that won. Team. There are a lot of guys that won in the past that weren't great leaders, okay? Stop. It doesn't matter about leadership.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Someone's got to be a leader on that squad. And if it's Julius Randle, as you call him, the bricklayer, I don't like their odds. That's just me.
I don't think when it comes to talent, when you have a player of that magnitude, and if he takes over games, which we all know that Anthony Edwards could do, I believe that Anthony Edwards will find a way to get his team through this series, as he's done many, many times. And Anthony Edwards, it's not like he's never been here before. He lost last year, but he's been there before. Now he has a chance. New ownership. Obviously, we see Alex Rodriguez. He's bringing Barry Bonds. I've seen videos that Barry Bonds was hanging out with the Timberwolves. I saw that Don Mattingly was there recently, hanging out with some of the Timberwolves players.
Barry Bonds drove A-Rod to the game.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So
I don't know. I'd love to talk about the Knicks in a second, but I'll just say this about this matchup. It's going to be fun to watch because it's 2 ascending stars in the NBA, right, with Edwards and Shai. But I don't think that the Timberwolves match up very well. This is exactly the type of team, if Gobert has to come out from underneath the paint to guard Chet, they're in a lot of trouble in this series.
All right.
And I think that's going to happen.
I disagree.
So
I think the Timberwolves have just as good chance to win this series as the Denver Nuggets did in the last series. It's all about what superstar is going to show up and the secondary players. What secondary is going to step up to help the superstar? I think both Shai and Anthony Edwards is going to show up in this series and put up big numbers. It all depends on the secondary players. If they're going to, Julius Randle shows up like he's been throughout the playoffs. Why could Julius Randle is better than Jalen Williams when he's playing as good as he is? Okay, you can't even argue that. He's a better rebounder. He's a better offensive player. Sure. And even though he doesn't play a lick of defense, and Jalen Williams does, I still take Julius Randle when he's at the top of his game than Jalen Williams.